Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. I know before you get started, I'll get a yellow card for being late. My entire system had a total meltdown, unlike the Arsenal these days. We have a very special guest in the house, one of our favourites. Let's rock and roll, folks.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Oof, gosh, I hate technology sometimes, most of the time. Hello, squaddies. Welcome back to Squad Central. Another massive game ahead this weekend, of course. At ease, everyone, at ease. The whole family's here in chat. And for those listening on replay because you're watching the football, I don't know why you're watching the football because the Arsenal are playing, but whatever. Welcome back to the show. One of my favorites, not only as a female broadcaster, but as a human being, the host of TalkSport Weekend Breakfast, Natalie Sawyer.
Hello.
Nice as Kev would do.
Nice to see you both. Great to be with you both as well.
And my wingman for the evening, of course, is Albert from not you're Mr. Albert, but from Albert JTV, one of the, I say new voices, but you've been around, but we're loving what you're doing, Albert. Thanks for joining me as my wingman.
Sophie, it was an honor. It is a pleasure. When you asked me, I didn't even let you finish the sentences. I said, yes, especially if I get to meet Natalie as well.
Oh man, woof, what a season it has been so far. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for all the love for Natalie in the house as well. We really appreciate it. And we've got another big game this weekend, another London derby. I tell you what, them teams up north, Natalie, they're a little bit lucky, aren't they? There's more London derbies than I can count these days.
Yes, although they might turn around those teams up north and go, you don't have to travel far, do you? So I suppose in some ways it's easy, but equally the rivalry and that pressure ramps up when you know you're playing one of your local teams, certainly.
I wanted to start, we had a brief conversation when we played each other last season, and of course the subject of Ivan Toney always comes up. By the way, is he injured for this game or is he available and is he going to be playing?
Well, from what I gather, he is available. But that being said, I was at the Chelsea game and right at the end, he did pick up an injury. And there was part of me that just thought this would be so typical because, and listen, I'm being mischievous maybe and thinking and cynical, perhaps thinking, does he want to play against maybe his future employees? I don't know. So, yeah, I'm hoping he'll be fit because we're desperate for players. We're so injury hit. So, yes. I'm hoping he's fit. By all accounts, I think he's okay, but I don't fully know, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, this one was done by Gunnerballs in the last transfer window. And of course, a lot of Arsenal fans were, it's actually quite mixed, Natalie, believe it or not. I was going to start off with David Raya, but may as well just kick into Ivan Toney. There's some Arsenal fans that think he's the answer because he gives us a plan B, the aerial threat. He's also a killer on penalties. The David Raya connection at Brentford. I wanted to ask you, there's rumours about Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal. Is Ivan Toney overrated or just overpriced? I think he's a really good player, but I'm not sure I would pay the amount of money that Brentford, rightly so, would be seeking for a talent like him.
I think he's Premier League proven. And I know it's only 3 seasons in now, and maybe you can't count this one, but he's year on year improved. So I think, look, he's not, we put £100 million on him obviously in January, but that really was to just say, go away. We're not interested. No one's going to bid for 100 million. And we were never expecting anyone to buy him for 100 million. I think the price that we would try to get is between 60 and 70 million. It's a difficult one because, not many Brentford players have left us and gone on to be brilliant. And I don't mean that harshly, but it's just fact. There's a lot of players that went with a lot of hype, but haven't really delivered since they left. I mean, you could obviously, Ollie Watkins, without a doubt, has done brilliant things at Aston Villa. And so he's definitely a success story. But most of them haven't gone on to do what we all expected them to do or hoped that they might do. So I'm always of that message. The grass isn't always greener. So Ivan, it's not always greener. That being said, he's got ambitions. Of course, he wants to play in Europe or with the top level clubs that are competing for trophies year on year. So is he overhyped? I don't think he's overhyped. Is he overpriced? It depends. Depends what he goes for, I suppose, in the end. But I think 60 million for a striker that has shown that he can do it regularly in this Premier League, it isn't too bad, really.
Albert, are you a Toney fan?
Oh, what a question, Sophie. What a question. In the short answer, I am a fan, and I personally wouldn't grumble if he came to Arsenal. But there's another striker that I want even more, Sophie, which we'll talk about maybe another time. But
a bit later. Yeah.
Well,
there's always a new striker Arsenal fans want. I'll take Ollie Watkins all day, every day.
And he's an Arsenal fan as well, so he'd love it.
There you go.
Yeah. He's Premier League proven, as you said, Natalie. Now, one of the things that's excellent about Brentford in their ascendancy was the relationship with Raya and Ivan Toney. And, I was definitely one of those Arsenal fans that, fell in love with Aaron Ramsdale. I think we all fell in love with Aaron Ramsdale. He came at a time where our culture was dead, and players like White and Tomiyasu and Ramsdale came in, reignited our love for the club again, and helped Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe, who were carrying the team, and that connectivity that was kind of missing. There's this debate about whether or not he's really truly been tested because the defense has been so amazing. Has Brentford struggled this season? Because you've missed Toney for the best part of the season. You've lost Raya. Has that been a massive gaping hole for you guys? Is that why you've struggled?
I think, primarily for a lot of clubs, injuries has been our biggest issue, and I'm talking about key individuals, not just squad players. We're talking first 11 players. If we were to play your traditional back four, well, pretty much our back four is out. So that's been
insane.
To lose Rico Henry, who is so influential down that left-hand side, has been massive. Likewise, on the other side, you've got Aaron Hickey, who plays for Scotland. Again, massive miss in defence. And going forward, as we always see with wing backs now, it's so key for them to go forward as well. Then we're missing Ethan Pinnock, Ben Mee's out. So many players, key players we've missed this season. And then we had to introduce a new keeper, Mark Flecken, who didn't get off to a great start. But I always think one of the toughest positions to bed in is the goalkeeper, because you have to build a relationship with your defence. And it's something that takes time to bed in, really. And I think actually we've seen the best of Mark Flecken in the last few games. And I know we haven't necessarily won, but he's been pulling off saves and we're into double figures in some of the games that he's played in recently, which again might show that our defence isn't great if he's having to pull off these saves. But actually he's kept us in games, even though we might have ended up losing them. So yes, we've missed David Raya, but because he was instrumental for our part of our defence, and as I say, having that relationship with the defenders in front of him. But I think we're just starting to see the best of Mark Flecken, which is a positive for us.
One of the things I think some Arsenal fans have struggled with is because David Raya, because Aaron Ramsdale had such a huge personality, maybe some Arsenal fans too much personality in a game, self-admitting that he couldn't concentrate for 90 minutes, which I think hurt him. David Raya is definitely the opposite. He's quieter. It doesn't seem, I say this with so much respect, to have a personality, and that's really unfair. Because Ramsdale is so kind of like out there. Yeah. What was he like with fans off the pitch? Is he just a quiet guy but a great guy, and he seems like a total team player. What's your take on him?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've summed it up. I'd say team player without a doubt. Definitely doesn't have the traits of Aaron Ramsdale, who, as you say, likes to wind up the opposition fans, etc., and then get involved with the home fans as well, which I'm sure as an Arsenal supporter, you love that because you feel as though he's just taken the club into his heart and wants the best for the club. So I get that. I would say that with David Raya, he's just, I would just say he's just a team player who's just a good guy. Yeah, it didn't really show much of a personality on and off the pitch, but equally did a job. And I must say, when David Raya first came into Brentford, he had a dodgy start with us. It was a bit of a, if we made the right signing here. But you understood why we brought him in, because of his distribution. That was what was key. Playing out from the back, again, key for us. And we saw in him somebody that we felt could do that. And so it took time for him to become, a key player in our team, that we all thought there's no risk with David Raya. There's no risk. We're fine with him. But yeah, it's similar, like I say, with Mark Flecken now with Brentford. It took time, but now we're in a better place, I think.
I was gonna ask in terms of his attributes and the things that you saw about him at Brentford, because there's a massive deal this weekend is that he's actually not playing, and Ramsdale has to step in. Oof, I feel like that's if Jimmy Kimmel went down at the Oscars and someone had to step in at the very last minute to kind of replace him, are your jokes as good? That's a massive pressure, isn't it, Natalie, for Aaron Ramsdale?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you really have been quite cold in the sense of hardly being used. It's quite a big thing to be thrown in, and to be thrown in knowing, if you win that game, you go top. And if you win that game, you're piling the pressure on both Liverpool and Man City. Obviously, you have to play each other. So it's huge. But obviously, Premier League rules obviously insist that he can't play because of being on loan at Arsenal right now. So yeah, it's huge. That being said, we're not in the best of form, and you happen to be in a really, really good form. So I think we are going to have to really up our game if we're going to try and test Aaron Ramsdale and your defence. And looking on paper, you would say this should be a straightforward home win for you guys.
Oof. Don't say that out loud. It's true.
No.
I mean, this is Albert. This is, I think, the question I have for you and Natalie too. It's like, David Raya's stats show that he catches the ball more, but Rambo's more of a puncher. It shows all the clean sheets. But, you look at some of our games recently, of course, yes, we've played, Sheffield United and teams that just have been struggling a little bit. But the defense has been incredible and maybe helped the goalkeeper as well. But I don't want to diminish also what David Raya has contributed from a distribution point of view. And these guys, this picture, this reminds you a little bit of an old school Arsenal situation going on in the tunnel.
Absolutely. It's interesting with the goalkeeping situation because there was a surprise because a goalkeeping purchase was not at the top of my agenda as an Arsenal fan, and I think I wouldn't be alone in saying that. So it's quite a surprise. But when I kind of thought about it a little bit more, I kind of got it. I mean, this is the one position in the team where I know you had the goalkeepers union come out and the Schmeichels and the Shea Givens, and they wouldn't be happy about it. But Mikel is his own man, and I think he kind of looks at it like, say, if, for example, we got an ACL injury, at the time for our Ramsdale. Look who our backup goalkeepers were coming in, Sophie. The Arsenal fans would have been having kittens. So I kind of understood it, and if in terms of David Raya, if he can give you that extra 2-3%, hope maybe to get us over the line or to give the defense a bit more confidence, that's what Mikel's seen. This is not a goalkeeper that has come out from nowhere. He's been interested in him before. Last season I think he was number one in terms of passes, and he had a slightly higher save percentage than Aaron Ramsdale. So it's those small. Arsenal fans might not like it, but Mikel's thinking ahead and thinking, you know what? If he can give me that extra 2-3%, then he's my number one.
It's interesting. Yeah, I think you're right, Albert, as well. And I think you mentioned it there about the punches and the saves and the difference between Raya and Ramsdale. Now, my other half used to play football, so we'll watch football together, and he'll get frustrated when a goalkeeper punches out when you can save it, he'll say. Because obviously his thing is, well, if you're punching it out, you've got to be 100% sure you've connected correctly so that it goes further away than just like a loose punch that could go anywhere. And I think a keeper that saves the ball more often than punches it will only give your defense that kind of confidence in the keeper, and therefore they're more confident as well, which may be why your defense is as good as it is right now. Maybe it's because, and listen, I'm not saying it to diminish anything that Aaron Ramsdale has done, but just maybe they're thinking, actually, we've got a keeper behind us that can save these shots much better, say, than Aaron Ramsdale. So it gives them a bit more confidence as well to play. I don't know.
It's a little bit like, I'm going in with my film references today, guys. Al Pacino in Any Given Sundays, that whole speech about inches. It's the difference between winning and losing, isn't it? And I mean, speaking of winning and losing, I think that the run that we're on right now is amazing. It's incredible. We're playing beautiful football. We're scoring lots of goals, Natalie. That goal difference is key. But we're also playing against a manager this weekend that is so likable, much more than Ange Postecoglou, I'll add, everyone. Thomas Frank is probably the most legit, likable manager in the Premier League. It's not Big Ange, I'll have you know. That's just my humble opinion. And you could see his frustration too, Natalie, on the sidelines this season. What's your take on Thomas Frank? And I don't want to... Is he too nice? Do you think he's too nice? Would he be too nice to manage a bigger club? You guys want to hold on to him for as long as possible, but he is attached to a lot of jobs all the time. I know that you're a massive, massive fan.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, to pick up on your point about being likable, there'll be I know a lot of people that don't like Thomas Frank. I mean, as in fans of other clubs. They just... What? Something about... Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my goodness. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. Partly because... I think he's quite an honest guy, but sometimes he can be maybe too honest, or maybe honest isn't the right word either, but sometimes too defensive of Brentford. And then will kind of, how do I put it? He doesn't go for the other team, but he can be a bit negative about the other team. He's not like Pep Guardiola is the master of always being positive about everybody and everyone that they're facing. So if, like this weekend with Liverpool, he'll talk glowingly of Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, we know Jurgen's done great things, but he'll still say what an amazing job he's done and this and that, and Liverpool's team is just fabulous, etc., etc. And Thomas Frank will do that to a degree, but post-match, he does rile up opposition fans at times, because sometimes he'll say it like, oh, we didn't deserve to lose that, or we didn't, and some fans will look at that and think, well, no, you did deserve to lose that. But he'll see it slightly differently. So I get that other fans actually don't like him as much as I do. And as you've obviously pointed out, you do as well, Sophie. I mean, I love him. Is he too nice? I don't think so. I think he could easily go on to manage a bigger club, which I know is his ambition to do so. It's just who will take the risk. Is he a glamorous name for a bigger club? I'm not so sure. But I think he could definitely put in the needle when it's needed. If you're looking at him being too nice to manage a bigger club, I think he can certainly deliver those kind of sucker punches when needed.
It's funny because...
Sophie, let me come in
go on, jump in. Yeah, jump in.
You know what's interesting? Because obviously when I saw your face when Natalie mentioned about Thomas Frank being likable and, people not liking him, Natalie, we have it with Mikel Arteta. Believe me, with a lot of rival fans. There's something about him that I think it winds people up
on a totally different scale. Different though, level. Arteta's so polarizing; it's unreal.
He is, and I mean, I've had this conversation before with Arsenal fans on TalkSport and away from TalkSport as well, and just saying the exact same thing. It's because sometimes when a manager is so immersed in that club, and that's what Mikel Arteta is without doubt at Arsenal. So everything he says, sometimes as an away fan or an opposition fan, you're just a bit like sick of it. You're like, "I'll get over it," as if you're that in love with the club. That's how it feels, with an Arteta, and to a degree, Thomas Frank as well, probably. So yeah, I've definitely heard that as well about Mikel Arteta. He's, as you rightly say, polarizing. My goodness, he is Marmite, definitely.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, we were. I was talking to John Harkes and Rebecca Lowe about him, and Rebecca said that when she's interviewed him a few times, she gets that sense that when he does his to-do list, it's number 1 Arsenal, number 2 Arsenal, number 3 Arsenal, number 4 the wife.
Oh yeah. I think this is. I suppose what I'm just thinking what people say about Mikel Arteta, and it's sort of I think the one word that always comes out is arrogance. They feel there's a bit of an arrogance about him. But I think that about any manager, any player, you've got to have an element of arrogance. How else do you become successful in a job that is so ruthless, really? So, yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. But I totally get that. Arsenal. Oh, family, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Natalie, what do you think of the fact that, because the questions come up so often about, it feels like Arsenal are this dartboard. And sometimes, we Arsenal fans are told that we're just delusional about the fact that the media doesn't like us and it's Arsenal versus everyone. When you hear Rio Ferdinand talk about Mikel Arteta like running up to Manchester and him suggesting that Saka isn't world class, what as a neutral, right? This season, I know we're London rivals. Would you rather see us win the league than Liverpool or Manchester City? Are we the better story? I know this Klopp story's brewing, like walking off to the sunset with the Premier League under here and the League Cup, and there's room for the Europa League here. And what's your take as an opposing fan and a broadcaster?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think you're right in terms of a story. Obviously, Arsenal are the story. So if you're, as a journalist, seeking a story, that would be the one you want to go for in terms of Arsenal winning the title. I have this thing about it annoys me when people talk about agendas. There's agendas against our club. There's a conspiracy against our club. I mean, I've worked in this industry for 20 odd years. Not once have I been in a little huddle where we go, let's be anti-Arsenal, let's be anti-this, let's be anti-that. It just doesn't happen. But you might find that there are maybe less Arsenal journalists, for example, fans that support Arsenal, whereas there are a lot of Tottenham fans who are journalists. And even when I was working at Sky, a lot of the bosses were Tottenham fans. And I, at one point, was thinking, crikey, feels as though it's just all pointing towards Tottenham, the way that everything's controlled in this media world. But it really isn't. So yeah, as a story, I definitely think Arsenal, without a doubt, would be incredible. But then obviously with Jurgen Klopp leaving, like you say, it would be some story for him to finish on a high with winning some trophies. It's a difficult one. I don't even know who I want to win. It's not even a question of who I want to win. I just still
Arsenal,
have it in my head.
Arsenal, Natalie.
Well, I just feel. The thing is, with you guys right now, you are just this unstoppable force. You're absolutely amazing. 2024 has just begun like a steam train for you guys. My fear is always City, because they just know how to get it over the line, especially in the second part of the season. They just come good when it's needed. So it's whether you can get over that kind of. Obviously, you've got to go to the Etihad later this month, haven't you? So
yeah.
If you can beat them again, like you beat them at home, then that puts you in such a strong position. So yeah, I would say, as a story, I'm going to say as a story, yes, Arsenal to win would be what I would go for as a story. Yeah.
See, guys, I told you this is why I love
jump in quickly.
You can jump in whenever you want, Albert.
Oh, Sophie, you're so kind. About Mikel, Natty, just to quickly ask you, I'm hoping you might not have seen it. The Amazon documentary. What if you did? What did you make of Mikel in that? And he sort of this being his first job and where he is now.
I mean, clearly intense is what I came away with thinking, and also, if you recall, obviously when we beat you in that first Premier League game for us at Brentford, and Ivan Toney obviously did that little tweet about nice kickabout with the boys. The fact that Mikel Arteta held on to that, and then when we played you at the Emirates, obviously that season, I assume, if I remember rightly, he had it on the notice board, didn't he? He'd written it on the whiteboard, I think.
He did.
So in my mind, I was like, it just made me laugh. I felt like, gosh, that's so school kids sort of reaction.
He's petty. He's petty.
He's petty. There's an element of pettiness there. But equally, it made me laugh in a good way. Like, I love the fact. I think it's, all these kind of little things that we get in football where we have little to and fro's. I love all that. And it should be about banter. It's a bit like Neil Maupay and what he does with his little, dirty tricks on the pitch. I love all that.
What a wind-up he is. Oh, God.
Oh, he loves it. He is a wind-up merchant and he'll do his best. But he's also very off the pitch, I mean, completely different. Off the pitch, he's one of the quietest guys. I remember speaking, I mean, I've known him for years, since he was at Brentford originally. And he was always very shy, and especially because he didn't speak much English when he first moved over. And then when he went to Brighton, I remember speaking to the CEO, Paul Barber, and Paul Barber was like, if you ever want to find Neil Maupay, just go to the end of Brighton Pier. That's where we sat. He'll be reading a book. That's all he wants to do. He's one of those. He's very different off the pitch than he is on it. But equally,
That's
like,
nice,
you know, he'll wind the players up, but like against Tottenham when he wound up James Maddison. But at the end, he went up to James Maddison and congratulations, 3 points. You know, you won. So you know, he's quite an honest player at the same time. So yeah. Anyway, I slightly went off subject there with Neil Maupay.
No, I love it. Absolutely love it. 300 of you in live chat right now. Kiss that like button. Do what you want to. It just once, remember, because if you do it twice, then it unlikes it. So make sure that you just hit that like button. We got Natalie Sawyer here, the host of TalkSport Weekend Breakfast, with us. Natalie, is Saka world class to you?
Oh, here we go.
Do you know what? First of all, go back onto what Rio said about Mikel Arteta going to Manchester United. No, he'd be absolutely foolish to go there right now. If it was in a slightly healthier position, you can maybe get the temptation if he's going to be offered bags full of money, etc., etc. But I mean, he's in a much better position at Arsenal. Why on earth would he want to leave? And he's clearly on this amazing journey and project that as I'm sure you would want him to be around for a long time. So I don't think he'll go to Manchester United. I think that was absolutely ridiculous. And frankly, it was what's the word I'm trying to think of? Crikey. Perimenopausal. You forget all the words you want to say. I just thought disrespectful. Disrespectful. That's what I was trying to say to Arsenal.
Me too.
It's watershed. Yeah.
Oh, the words, the basic words you forget.
Oh, if only Joey Barton could hear us now.
Oh God, that would be another podcast.
That's a whole other show.
That was it. It's disrespectful to Arsenal because I think where you are at right now, you're just on this crest of a wave and you're just going to get better and better, aren't you? So I don't see why he would leave there. Is Bukayo Saka world class? I think that's a difficult one to answer. I think he's incredible, absolutely incredible. I think he's integral to you, obviously. I think he's key to England as well. I'm sort of that ilk where maybe he has to win a bit more to really be considered world class. But having said that, how he basically, I know it's Martin Odegaard as your captain, but how he's one of those leaders on the pitch for such a young age. I mean, my goodness, he will become world class if he isn't considered world class by many others. So, I'm just basing it on trophies. I wouldn't call him world class yet, but I don't think he's far off it.
So is Foden then considered world class because he's won trophies? Because Harry Kane hasn't won anything and he's considered world class. There's this juxtaposition, isn't there?
Absolutely right to raise it because Harry Kane is the best example. I think, crikey, now you've put me on the spot. Now I'm going to have to backtrack. I think Harry Kane is, geez. Now I'm just...
Sorry, mate.
Should we scrap
Natalie, do you know what it is? It's you know what it is? And I see this so much. People move the goalposts. They compete with the goalposts. Now, with the Foden Saka thing, to me, it's just a stupid argument. They don't play the same position. They don't. We know Foden's got more natural ability, but I think people hark back to world class, whether it be the Messi Ronaldo thing of recent years, or they go back to talking about world class in terms of a Baresi or a Maldini or a Van Basten.
Yeah. All world class players, by the way, Albert.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. But I'm not so on board with the trophy thing, because Sophie mentioned about Harry Kane, but I just think with Saka, I think people might sound being biased. I think they run out of reasons or excuses. And I think because he's English, there's the thing about calling English players world class. It seems to trigger a lot of people. I don't know what it is, but for what he's done at 22 and to play in a struggling Arsenal side in a multitude of different positions, you don't get England Player of the Year twice in a row if you're not capable of something. You know, people said that he needs to play Champions League football, for example. Then he does that, and he's got the most goal contributions in the entire UEFA Champions League. Hat-trick for England, played in 2 major tournaments. Excellent. I mean, Rio Ferdinand, to finish up, he basically tried to diminish Bukayo Saka being world class because when England played against France in that quarterfinal, England didn't win the game. I thought that's not really a good metric to determine that, because Saka was absolutely awesome in the tournament and in a big game in the quarterfinal against France. But that's what I wanted to say, really.
No, it's good points as well. That's why I'm now like thinking, why did I even say any of that? I don't know. I just don't know the answer, because you've made a really good point. And like I say, trophies maybe shouldn't be the judgment either, because Harry Kane has not won anything really. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm sort of just more, I'm not prepared to say he's world class, but that's not that I still think he's incredible. I think he is somebody that's, you know, if he sticks around with Arsenal, he's going to be a legend without a doubt. I'm sure many of you already consider that he is. And maybe you do, as I'm seeing there, Lone Star Londoner is saying, you know, if other massive clubs want to bring him to their team, then maybe you do have to consider him world class. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I actually don't.
It's interesting because Damien brings up a good point too about Jude Bellingham, and I mentioned that the other day because he's won the Pokal with Borussia Dortmund, and he's won the Spanish Cup, but hasn't won the two big ones yet. But the lauding of Jude Bellingham, I think the difference is, Natalie, he's playing for Real Madrid and his stats are being compared to Ronaldo, right? And he's living up to that expectation. You know, Arsenal, I think, because we've been in the doldrums for so long, Saka stats, you have to go back. They're being compared to like some great players too, though. So would you agree with this? Until Arsenal win the Premier League or the Champions League, we will never get the respect. Even if we lose the title by a point, we will be called bottlers at the end of the season. I absolutely guarantee it. And I don't think that's me being like delusional. Do you agree that we have to win the big ones in order to get that respect, as does Saka in order to get that world-class tag?
Yeah, well, so for your first point, yes, I think with Arsenal, without a doubt, if you have to win something for us to start taking you seriously, if you know what I mean. Even though I'm saying I think this is a club that's just on an upwards trajectory, I don't see you going anywhere but that. But for those that, if you don't win the Champions League, if you don't win the Premier League, for example, then yes, you'll be known as bottlers once again. It'll come down to you just didn't have the stamina to get it over the line and blah, 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 and what we see all the time. But I also think we're living in extraordinary times when you've got Man City and you've got Liverpool, who are this. For neutral, this title race is absolutely brilliant. I can't imagine what it's like for you all to be involved in it, because it must be just nail biting the whole time.
It's all right, Sophie. It's all right, Sophie. It's all right.
It must be great.
It's okay so far.
It must be great.
Ask me again in May.
It is.
Well, this is it. No, but it must be great. But equally, you're thinking, oh, we just want them to drop points. You know, we just don't need any last minute winners for, you know, when Manchester United went ahead in the Manchester derby, you're thinking, oh, maybe, just maybe, you know, form goes out the window in a derby. So who knows? Maybe they're going to win this one. And that puts pressure back onto Man City and gives you a bit of a step up ahead of them, etc. So what, Bukayo Saka, I'm now going to backtrack about trophies. And I don't think it's necessarily important to win trophies to be considered world class. But I still think as a team, you need to win trophies just to be considered as, you know, one of the actual rivals, if you know what I mean, going forward into next season, etc.
That's fair.
But that's just how I see people see Arsenal. That's not my view. I think you're there and you're there to stay.
Do you enjoy watching Arsenal play as an opposing fan? Because as much, I don't think City have, you know, they're great, and I think we're more exciting to watch than City. I think Liverpool have been exciting at times. Do you enjoy watching Arsenal?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I didn't enjoy it on Monday night because I was thinking, crikey, where next? That's not fun. So yeah, obviously that's the problem when you're scoring goals for fun like you were at Bramall Lane. It just puts the fear into you because you know you're going to be facing that same lineup basically. But yeah, absolutely. Of course. I mean, how can you not enjoy a team that's won 7 out of 7 recently? And what was it, scored 31?
31 and 7, yeah.
Yeah, and is it you've only conceded 3 or something in that time?
Yep.
I mean, it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. And everybody wants to know what happened in Dubai for this form to have turned around so drastically.
Natalie, what happens in Dubai stays in Dubai.
You're telling me. I think everyone's tried to get out of Mikel. So, of course, I do. Who doesn't enjoy watching Arsenal? Especially as it's a young team still who you can see are just enjoying what they're doing. And maybe actually with David Raya now in the team, there's probably Brentford fans look on, not to say that we're like rooting for Arsenal, but there's an element of, we know David Raya, and we, maybe we want to see him do well. I don't know. There's that as well, an element as well to bring into it.
Okay, a couple more for you before we let Natalie go. Of course, and calm down, chatters, okay, because I am going to ask about England and the Euros. All right, it's a really big deal. A lot of England fans think that Southgate isn't the guy. He's had enough opportunities to bring this massive talent, which I think is more talented than the so-called golden generation that failed to kind of win. He's done a brilliant job to get England to a final. You would argue that had he put the foot on the gas, they would have beaten Italy, but Arsenal's Jorginho had other plans that day, Natalie. There's a player who I think has changed our fortunes like completely. He's probably had 2 bad games all season. One was against his old club. He's a joy to watch. He's a joyful human. He's been an amazing addition. You've got Saka, you've got Rice, you've got Foden, you've got Bellingham, you've got Harry Kane up front. How can he screw this up?
How can he screw it up? It's a good question. I'd like to think he won't. Look, I think Gareth Southgate has done a tremendous job. I think he's made England likeable. I think he's made England more interesting for everybody. I think, yes, you can question some of the in-game tactics, like you mentioned, against Italy in the Euros. You could question maybe what happened is at the World Cup as well, and how. But then, a penalty miss away, or if Harry Kane had put away that penalty, the story could have been very different in that game against France. How can he screw up? I'd like to think he won't. I think this is a brilliant team, whoever he ends up selecting. Now, of course, there might be some question marks still with that selection, i.e., is he going to bring back Jordan Henderson? Is Calvin Phillips going to get picked, for example?
Is he going to pick Ben White?
Well, I mean, I assume not, because something happened out in Qatar with Ben White. And I'm surprised that's never really come out, actually. I'm surprised no one, maybe people have tried to find out what's happened. I mean, Ben White has made it quite clear he's not interested in football other than playing it. I don't know if that was an issue out in Qatar. I don't know. Who knows? But I mean, on form, of course, you'd want to have Ben White in the England team. But I think he has made himself, in a way, unavailable because of what happened in Qatar. And I don't think he's particularly interested in being on international duty. I could be wrong, and that's just my assumption. I think this is. We've said it the last few tournaments, but I do think this is the best time for England to win. And I think if England wins this, then it sets us up nicely for obviously the World Cup in Canada, US, and Mexico. And I think once you get over the hurdle of that one tournament, it can steamroll, can't it? It can be like the domino effect, and you can actually go on and win quite a few tournaments. It's just getting it over that line, which maybe you can equate it to Arsenal. It's getting it done, getting that psychology, getting it actually achieving the goal. Sometimes it's up here that's the more difficult part than actually playing football with, as we expect. So that's what I think England can win it without a doubt. And I think they're one of the best teams certainly going into the Euros. It's just, as I say, I think it often comes up to the psychology and how you handle the pressure.
Okay, back to the weekend then. Which manager comes out on top? Will it be Thomas Frank's day? Will you cause the upset, or will Mikel Arteta once again prove that his Arsenal mean business and he fires up another steak on the grill thanks to poorly drawn Arsenal? This is one I use over and over again. And by the way, thanks to Sky Sports for this one. We dream of this one. Look at that. It was a Christmas meme by Sky Sports. And look at Emery and Pep and Klopp just looking through the window. Maybe Mikel will take his dog for a walk on Sunday, victorious. What do you say, Natalie?
Oh, gosh. I mean, obviously, we need the points. We're in this hideous relegation battle. I will definitely say you'll score against us, because I can't remember the last time we kept a clean sheet. Actually, maybe it was Wolves away, but it's so rare that we keep clean sheets. Our defense is so porous, which is really bizarre, because last season our defense was pretty decent. But as I mentioned before, injuries have really, really played a part in our season. Oh gosh, what's going to happen? I'm going to hope that we rattle Aaron Ramsdale and that we come away with. I'd be happy with a draw. Obviously, a win would be much better because, as I say, we're desperate for the points. But to get a draw at Arsenal would be incredible for us. And I know controversially we got that last year, but right now I'd take any point. Any point on the board is better than none. So I'll take a draw.
Bring up last year, didn't you? Just when we were
sorry. I went to ask Natalie quickly. I saw a stat, Natalie, with Brentford.
Fire them before she goes.
Yeah, you probably saw that. You probably saw that as well, Sophie. Brentford have lost 28 points for winning positions. More than any other league.
That's a shocking
I couldn't believe it. 28 points.
I mean, I know it's all hypothetical, so obviously there's no guarantee that you would win those games as such. But if we had won all those games that we have gone ahead in, we would be in the top 5, kind of top 4 picture, really, with our points that we've dropped, which is just ridiculous.
Big amount.
I know. I don't know what it is. Even against Chelsea, we came from behind. We were 1-0 down at halftime. We were hopeless in the first half.
You missed Brian and Burma, though. You missed him as well. You missed him big time.
Oh my! You've hit the nail on the head. We lack pace in our team now. Jonas Eidevall has been starting the last couple of games since he came back from AFCON, and he has got an element of pace, but nowhere near what Brian and Burma has. So as an outlet, we're not exciting in some ways to watch because sometimes it's balls over the top because we've got to try and get it to Ivan Toney, hope he holds it up and hope that no one really does anything from the opposition to scupper him holding onto the ball to them hopefully bring in Neil Maupay or bring in Jonas Eidevall or whoever it is that Thomas Frank decides to play alongside Ivan Toney. So yeah, pace is ridiculous. We're lacking so much pace, sadly, going forward. So yeah, problem for us, certainly. But yeah, apologies for bringing up last season.
I'll forgive you. You've given us more time than
crumbs that I've got to take.
I love those crumbs, and we love you, Natalie Sawyer.
And I love you. It's so nice to chat to you as always.
Yeah, we love having you on. Do you promise to come back at the end of the season so we could do they're screaming out for a Q&A with you. They want to ask you a whole bunch of questions, not just on Brentford and Arsenal, but an end of season Q&A with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you were talking about your celebration party. Is that what you want to?
I'm not going there. Here's my jam right now. Albert knows. We're both. No, you're not sucking us in. No. There's 400 people in live chat. We're not getting sucked into this one. I'm focusing on the journey right now versus the destination.
Yes.
That way, my little Greek, crazy, passionate self can just simmer down and just, I'm trying to treat Arsenal's journey as a glass of wine and not a shot of tequila. That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, that's nice.
Well said.
Nice. Yeah. Just a little sip. That's all.
Just a little sip.
I get you.
Wouldn't it be lovely if we won it? I mean, be so great for the league. Okay.
So you got sucked in. It changed like that.
Can you tell Sophie to calm down, please?
It's time for you to go, Natalie Sawyer.
Love to you all.
We love you. Thank you so much.
Friends, whatever happens after today.
We will. I'll text you after the game or not. Yes. Depends on the result. Yeah.
True. If it's
are you going to the match?
Do you know what? I'm not. And again, it's always I'm so bad at organising tickets for games away. I've got my season tickets, so I go to all the home games. I was at the home game.
I'm going to be there as well, Natalie. I'm going to be there.
Oh, you Albert? Oh,
yes.
No, I'm so bad. I always remember far too late, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't sorted it. So I haven't been to an away game yet, but I have got a few offerings later on this season for away games. But yeah, I know, poor. Not
all
good.
Right. I apologize. Well, you're getting a lot of love from all the listeners. Tons of loves. They adore you, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy the match and have a great show. And don't forget to give Cask my love. Give him a big hug for me.
I will do. Take care, everyone.
Take care. See you, Natalie. Thank you. Thanks a lot. That's Natalie Sawyer, the host of TalkSport Weekend Breakfast. You can follow Natalie at Natalie Sawyer. You can see it right there. Me and Albert are going to stay on. And thank you for all your thanks for Natalie. Isn't she just wonderful, Albert?
Sophie, what a woman. I went, like I said, I didn't even let you finish the sentence. I said, Sophie, I'm there. I haven't got any plans. I want to meet Natalie, even if it's virtual. I love the woman. All the years on Sky, TalkSport, coming on here. Fantastic woman. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Thanks for throwing out the stats. This is why I love Albert. He's a great wingman to have. He throws out his He likes his, his data. Him and him and Tom Canton, they're data dudes. In fact, there's a show.
I think he's rubbed off me a little bit.
He's definitely rubbed off on you a little bit. And listen, squaddies, you got a little testy in the chat earlier. We don't have any of that here at Squad Central. All right. So everyone calm down. Everyone simmer down. We give you the best here. 300 plus. I mean, it's almost 400. Kiss it, nut it, like it, moon it. I didn't want to say nut it and moon it in front of Natalie, because she's a lady.
No, Sophie. So save it for me. It's right. It's fine.
Yeah, totally. Listen, before we move on, Albert and I are going to stay on air for another 15 minutes at least, so don't go away anywhere, because I want to get Albert's take on a few bits. Speaking of a few bits, Mark Gunner Runner shared this with me. This is his collection, right?
Go on, Mark.
Yeah, get in there. And there's something new, people. There is something new and it's exciting. And please go. The video won't play, but whatever. I mean, technology is just kicking my ass today, Albert. Bugger, as Hugh Grant would say in 3 Weddings and a Funeral. No, it was 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Something news here. And if you go to Zenith Coins, the link is in the show description. Also, it's on X, Twitter, for those who hate X. HSNB10 for 10% off. It's on pre-order. Okay, let me get rid of the banner. This is paying homage to the North Bank at Highbury. We are the Highbury squad. This is a beautiful, beautiful coin. 10% off HSNB10. Go get it on pre-order. It's sexy. Buy it for your mate. It's $29.99. It's beautiful. It comes with a certificate of authenticity. And as you guys know, we've been huge partners with Zenith Coins. This is the clock end coin right here, as you guys know. Beautiful. And of course, we're still giving away this little gem to some of our favorite people who do some of our people who do great things, and our favorite listeners who are dedicated to the show. Will be doing a lot more of that. Hit the likes, of course, and go visit our friends at Zenith, please. Because Albert, how sexy do you think it is?
Beautiful. I've got one coin. I need to get the quadruple set.
Clop it.
Yeah. There no pun intended, people. Yeah, no pun intended.
Or not. Albert, before we move on to the next subject, let's get to 200 likes. Come on.
Yes.
I mean, let's do it. There should be as many likes as listeners. Haven't got one yet. Seb, they're coming. I tell you, up the Arsenal squad. Yes. Runs with Cows. Happy birthday. And Lynn, one of our OGs.
Go on,
I read up that you fell, and I hope that you're okay. So everyone give their love to Lynn, who's had a bit of a rough time of it with her health lately. And Lynn has been there from the very, very beginning. Came to our Hippodrome show. Albert, you met Lynn as well. She loves the latest coin. It's fab. You know what, Lynn? You're going to get one. I'm going to do Oprah. You're getting one. Everyone's getting one. Everyone gets a car.
God.
And remember, for those of you who didn't get your coin and you were supposed to email me, Zenith Coins are waiting for the squaddies who say they didn't get their coin. I hope you're telling the truth that you didn't get your coin. You're not trying to get another coin out of me, because I don't think you do that to me. The hybridSquad@gmail.com, the hybridSquad@gmail.com. Yes, love. Best wishes, Lynn too. Take over, wishes, Albert.
Wishes. So can I quickly say something, Sophie? Now, people in the chat were saying, am I cold? No, I'm not cold. The reason why I'm wearing a hat is because it's the lady sitting next to me. It's an homage to her. And my beautiful top, Kevin gave this to me last season to show my Nigerian roots. So that's why. It's not because I'm cold. It's because I love Sophie. I like to wear the woolly hat.
I love it. I wear woolly. They always say to me, must be cold in California. No, I just love to wear woolly hats. That's what I love too.
I'm roasting. I've got to be honest.
Happy tears, Lynn. Happy tears. No, okay. Email me and we'll sort all that out. Okay, the hybridSquad@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the list for the North Bank coin as well. Man. And a lot of love to you. And of course, happy
yeah.
birthday to Runs with Cows. Anyone else celebrating anything? Anyone else? Anything else going on in anyone's life here? James Johnston in the house. We had Dan Potts in the house earlier. We got Hertzy, Mike Hertz from Not Another Arsenal podcast in the house. AFC Max, thanks for joining. I'm surprised you're up and awake after we were up late listening to Not Another Arsenal podcast last night. Ian has ordered his. Well done, Ian. We love that. Right.
Oh, so look who's in the chat.
Who?
Oh, this woman.
Okay. Let's not forget. And sometimes we do, and it is our fault that we do. Ruth Beck has given Squaddies a lifetime offer. Lifetime, 20% off. Go to ruthbeckart.com, ruthbeckart.com, and you can get some amazing stuff. I'll tell you something.
I'm wearing some of it.
Albert, is Ruth not one of the kindest, nicest people in the Arsenal community? I mean, we've got Super Kev.
Yeah, of course. Of course,
we've got David Hillier. We've got some of our favorites, Smudger. But Ruth Beck is a goat in the Arsenal community, in my opinion.
I've been very, very lucky to meet Ruth more than once in the flesh. Love her to pieces, and she knows I do. Anyway. I'm not even being biased. Just, Ruth, I know you're listening. You're probably laughing in the background there, but I love you to pieces, and you know that. And I'm telling you again, live.
Absolutely love it. This is where a lot of listeners on YouTube are going to say, "So, just talk about football." I love doing the lifestyle stuff. I love going off the cuff. I love taking a little break. Mike Hertz, well done for ordering 2 coins today. Brilliant. Very proud of you. Mike. Thank you. And if you are not subscribed, do me a favor, Squaddies. Let's see the power of the squadron. Go subscribe to Not Another Arsenal podcast. Honestly, if you're up late or you're an insomniac, and if you are based in the States, the guys, Chris Kelly, Hertzy, and Sebi do an amazing job. Very chill. It's like being at the pub with your mates. Go give them a subscription, please.
Absolutely.
Okay. Brentford. Let me get your, actually, let's do this real quick, switching gears. Now, let me see how loyal you guys are too, because I do want to talk about Arsenal women real quick with, next week, Albert, let's do a dedicated show to Arsenal women. Okay. And we'll bring Susie Rack on and we'll have a chat with Susie from The Guardian as well. But I did want to mention that I didn't get a chance to do this. 60,050 sold out at the Emirates. For the North London derby, the grounds women on the day, everyone that worked that game that day on the ground was a woman. Leia finally got to play in a sold out Emirates Stadium with her Arsenal baby buddy. The two of these two, what a moment for these two.
It's nice.
The game wasn't the best. And Albert, I want to ask you this. We have got so much talent on this team, right? We're only 3 points behind the other two who are still in the Chelsea have got the cup
tonight, isn't it? Tonight, yeah.
And 3 points is sometimes really insurmountable in the WSL. Do you think they're underperforming? Do you think they're underperforming? And is Jonas still the right manager for this team?
Great.
He's got to win something.
In short, yes, they are underperforming. I've not got to go and watch the women live in the flesh, but I've watched them quite a few times this season. I was obviously at the game on Sunday, and I did message you actually, and I said, and to Damien as well, and my good man Ray, who went to the game as well. Ray Cassim, shout out to you, mate. That first half was a struggle, man. That was a hard watch. I don't know what some of the Arsenal faithful thought that watched that game on the box or in the ground, but it was a hard watch. I know Tottenham beat us away. We had chances to win that game, and they sucker punched us, Sophie, beat us for the first time. I don't know what it is in terms of combining both your questions, but you're right. For what Arsenal have from an attacking element, because defensively, if you look at our goals against in the league, it's actually pretty good. But we should be doing a lot better. Answers on a postcard, if you can tell me. I tried to research it earlier, but I think I got a headache, Sophie. But I don't know how many. I don't know how many times Jonas has actually played the same team twice, maybe even 3 times. And you got to bear in mind as well,
Mm.
we're not in the Champions League because
No.
we came out that very, very early. So I said this to you, Sophie. When I see Katie McKay playing at right back, I've got to wonder what the manager's doing. She's not just one of your first team starters; she's one of your best players. So
Mm-hmm.
why are you taking her better attributes to play at right back? Yes, I get it. At the moment, Gold Cup, Emily Fox is away and Chloe
Yeah, I was
Lacasse.
going to ask you, are we missing her already? I mean, she's a new signing. I tell you, I've
She's
been really
brilliant.
impressed
She's
with her
brilliant.
performances. And I know Arsenal fans have fallen in love with her pretty quickly, haven't they?
Yeah. What, Emily Fox?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's a surprise to me. I thought it was a good acquisition personally, but
No, they've fallen in love with
oh
her
love,
very
I was in love.
quickly.
Sophie's out of love.
It's the opposite, dude.
Oh God, no! I'm thinking, what are they watching, Sophie? Yeah, love Emily Fox. So you kind of think to yourself, you brought in Amanda Ellisted, right? Who plays better in a free. And people
Mm-hmm.
might argue she can play in a four, but she's better in a free. Injured, obviously missed on the weekend. You could play Catley maybe as a centre half if you think Leah's not ready, but then also you got Leah Cadena as well. It's just I find the football ponderous, Sophie. I don't know about you.
Oh, ponderous.
Yeah, it's really slow, and no offense to Tottenham, but Arsenal should be rolling them over. You've got better attacking players. You're at home. It's North London derby. I don't really remember them working the goalkeeper very often. Spencer in the first half, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Palova takes too many touches, which doesn't help. I'd personally like to see Kyra Cooney-Cross play a bit more. She seems to bench warm more than actually play games, start games. There's a lot of things, and people might say, "Oh, but you're only 3 points behind." But if you actually look at Arsenal's the actual table, City has scored 5 more goals than us, Sophie. Chelsea scored 13 more goals than Arsenal this season.
No, that's massive.
13. That's another point. And
yeah.
you know who our next game is against, don't you? In the WSL, Chelsea.
That's
And
a must win.
Have to win. But yeah, Sophie, it's a bit better in the second half against Spurs. We'll go back to the game. Kim Little again stand out. I'd like to see her get on the ball more. I've always said that about her. She can go beyond the strikers. She hits a great diagonal, which kind of led to the goal. Russo scoring, but Jonas has obviously signed a contract in October, so he's here for another 3 more years.
I mean,
well,
on, let me ask you this, because to be fair to him as well, and I think Demsek was the one that was asking, the ACL injuries, do you think, even though those players are back, although now Miedemar could be an effect of that injury? It's so sad. I mean, I'm just crushed for her, really crushed for her. Do you think, though, that, I mean, Leah's not back, they're still have eased her in. Beth is firing, I think. Beth is slowly kind of back, not to her best, but I mean, she's having a massive impact, and missing her has been massive. Do you think that's still having an effect on the team? Can we still say that at this point?
With Leah, definitely. Leah's a big miss, obviously. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But Arsenal got you got a World Cup winner as a centre half, Sophie. You got a centre half who made the semi-finals with Sweden in the World Cup. She scored 4 goals as well, by the way. So there should be enough there. We did do good business. We knew when we bought Russo, right? Russo is still not your. Listen, I love Russo, by the way. But if you had a Bunny Shaw from Manchester City up front for Arsenal, we wouldn't be 13 goals behind Chelsea in the league.
But is it Russo, or is it the distribution, the slowness, the flank play, Albert?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I just sort of talk because I know Bunny Shaw's so brilliant for Man City, but
I know she's
she's phenomenal.
She's a fantastic player.
Yeah, but you're right. It is the supply line. Because Beth's only just come back. Caitlin Ford, I like. Do I wish I could see a little bit more from her? Yeah, but I just think it's the stuff. For example, when Kyra Cooney-Cross came on, she wasn't brilliant when she came on, but it was quicker when she came on. Kim Little got on the ball a bit more. Kim Little was just class, but I think sometimes I want to see more from her, because she is that good a player. But it's just it shouldn't take for Arsenal. I've seen a couple games this season, Sophie, right, where Arsenal's gone behind, different team, but it shouldn't be down to the fact that you're losing games of football for you to get your ass in gear, if I can say it on the channel.
You can.
yeah.
I think I've forgotten to put ads on. And by the way, Guns and Yellow Ribbons, Trev and Fergus and Dan and Magic Mike totally blew my algorithm the other night. So I'm like, sod it. Fuck the ads. Oops, sorry. Kevin doesn't like it when I swear. Sorry, sorry, Super Kev.
Sorry, Kev. Kev, I'll have words with Sophie when we come off live. But listen, let's strip it back a little bit, because obviously we had a game yesterday, 1-4-0. You know, Black Stennis gets a hat trick. She probably wants to get a bit more game time, Sophie. But
they should be smacking Aston Villa though, right?
Yeah. To be fair, you know, as Villa got some good players, but with respect, obviously. But yeah, we won. Yeah, we won yesterday 4-0. But yeah, I think with the league, it's Arsenal's next 3 games. I've got it in front of me. So we've got Chelsea on the 15th, which is a Friday night game. Villa away a week later, and then Bristol City at home. Those 3 games are massive because we don't play Man City till May. So yeah. Oof. So Arsenal can't drop any points, so they just can't.
No. Listen, we can't. It's the league is, as I said, it's almost insurmountable when you go 3 points behind. Yeah. It's when Chelsea are who they are, and we know that they're, to use a terminology America that you guys don't like, they're clutch, right? They're clutch. They always be closing. They know how to get across the line. They've got Emma Hayes, who just is, I'm going to like her when she's the manager of the US women's national team.
Exactly.
You know, she was up at 3:30 the other morning watching the game against Colombia. She was tweeting. I was like, wow.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. She's like Mikel. Chelsea, the hubs.
But you know, you make a good point, Sophie, because in WSL we've got 7 games now left in it. So yeah, when you're 3 points behind, and you got and your goal difference is significantly less than Chelsea as well as Man City, but Chelsea, that's like, you know, so that's 4 points, and Chelsea ain't going to drop more points than not.
I was going to say, when you know, City might, Chelsea. They're like Manchester City, you know, on the other side, Pep's team. Once they get to a certain point in the season, the likelihood of them dropping points is very unlikely. And therefore, it's the same with us in the Premier League. We have just got to win our games.
Yeah, that simple. It's that simple. And it's Emma Hayes' last season. So listen, they want to get it done for her, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I'm going to the game, Simons. And yeah, Sousa's been amazing. I mean, what a leader. I mean, that Brazil.
USA beat Canada, didn't they, on penalties, didn't they?
Oh my gosh. Did you guys watch that? I know I said you guys watch that game. Hardly anyone here is watching that game, which is a shame. Listen, Women's Gold Cup. Go watch the highlights. The pitch was totally waterlogged, right? The ball wouldn't move. I know that the manager of LAFC was complaining about the game in the snow in Utah the other night. Got fined 10 grand, by the way, for publicly criticizing the league. Yeah, for breaking the policy of public criticism. I was like, what the hell? Dude can't say that he was bummed that his team had to go out and play in that. Anyway, the women's game was a lot worse. And Canada went down because of a terrible back pass. The ball just got stuck in the penalty box.
Yeah.
And so everyone was saying, oh, God, you know, thank God, let's just get this game over with. The US were winning. And literally in injury time, Canada score. A great header, by the way.
Yeah.
Then it gets to extra time and it's 2-1. And everyone's like, thank God this is going to end, because who wants to go through penalties? Get these women off the pitch.
Yeah.
Alyssa Nair goes to punch the ball, misses the ball, gets the player. Canada get a penalty, buries it, 2-2 extra time. So the goalkeeper's made a massive mistake. This is what I love about football, you guys. And for those who have been tuning out right now because we're talking about women's football, au revoir. For those who are staying with us, thank you.
Thank you.
A joke. But the goalkeeper saves 3 penalties
Oh wow.
right? After getting her team into that mess, saves 3 penalties and then buries one herself. She did that in the World Cup as well. Absolute legend, 100 caps during this Women's Gold Cup as well. Total legend. Go watch the highlights. It's brilliant. It is a great ending. It had all the drama, massive rivalry, border rivalry as well. Their biggest rivals in women's football. And this is why, you know, I love it. The Women's World Cup was great. This is great. There's more to come from women's football. And, you know, we've got the Euros this summer as well. We've got Copa America. But yeah, go watch those highlights. I think you'll enjoy it.
What a group for the Lionesses qualify. That's a qualifying group, Sophie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dear.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's tough.
Crazy. Tom, you know what? The referee actually has the call on that, but they do need Uncle explained it quite well on CBS last night. They still need the go ahead of someone who's part of the federation, and I don't think that they got that. And unfortunately the game had to go ahead, and we're lucky that no one got hurt. It was an insane thing. Okay, Arsenal women then, what do you predict? What does your crystal football say for the Arsenal women? And what else do you want to say about the Arsenal women, Albert? What do you want to see?
I want to see a bit of football firstly. Good. But it's not, listen, they still got a puncher's chance to win the WSL. But it's listen, we're in a cup final. I think it's Chelsea Man City tonight they're playing in the other semi-final, isn't it? So I don't know what the score is, but it's Sophie's. It's all on. Even if Arsenal beat Chelsea, someone's put it in the chat.
It's 1-0 to Chelsea right now, and it's in the 94th minute.
Oh wow! Okay, it could be a London final. Oh, looking forward to that. Might get tickets to the final, but I just think it needs to win the Chelsea game, but it's what they do. It's what they do in the next 2 or 3 games after that, because the game's running out thick and fast, Sophie. So my gut's telling me Arsenal won't get it done in terms of winning the league, but get a cup in there for Jonas. But it's not over till it's over. But I'm not confident from what I've seen this season in terms of the football and what he's doing the team tactically.
All right, we're gonna regroup with Albert on another women's show, so look out for that. We'll talk a little bit more about our Arsenal women. And whenever those games happen at the Emirates, I was actually fighting with people on Twitter. I mean, why do I do it? I don't know why I bother.
No, Sophie,
who were actually saying, well, when you sell tickets for 15 quid, of course you're going to sell out. Who cares if it gets people in the stadium and it gets the women's game more exposure? This is what it's all about. The women's game is like 100 years behind the men's game. Can we please stop comparing? It's not necessary. Let's just celebrate the fact that this is happening. And players, you know, like these two, are able to kind of experience what Kivior experiences even, you know? They deserve it. They really do deserve it. I didn't mean to pick on Kivior again. Sorry. Albert, let's get your prediction for Brentford, and also what you think the scoreline will be. Who do you think is going to shine the brightest in that game? This team is on fire. Thank you to Chemo FC for sharing his great pictures with us. Chemo's pictures will be seen on the show a lot. Brilliant stuff. I mean, I love it. I love this one of Mikel. Yeah. And I do love this one too that he did of Mikel. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Can we do it, Albert? Don't answer that. Just tell me about.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm definitely not gonna answer that question, Sophie. No, you're not gonna do that to me. But they get. You know what? I know people talk about injuries, but it's not. Natalie was saying like they've literally lost their entire back four, Sophie. Like it's like us going through the season. People talk about Saliba last season. Imagine having no Gabriel, no Ben White, no Zinchenko. They've conceded 50 goals this season. Mm-hmm. They've already conceded more than they did for the whole of last season. But yeah, I'm confident we can go and get the points. I'm gonna go for. They say that Brian Mbeumo is back in training, but I can't see him playing on Saturday, Sophie. I've got to be honest. I'm gonna go for Arsenal to win. I'm going for 2-0 actually. I'm gonna go 2-0.
2-0, huh? I love this shot.
2-0. That's a great
I love
picture.
it.
Stunning picture.
Isn't it? It's
Yeah, it
for
is.
those listening on audio, we're looking at a picture of Saka with the fans, with the Arsenal flag flying, which Chemo
Yeah,
FC has done. Go give him a follow. It's just absolutely a
yeah,
stunning,
yeah. It's class.
stunning
It is
picture. Yeah. He came off
absolutely.
because he wasn't well, Mikel said.
Yeah, that
Um,
was yeah.
this joy, this team. I love this one too of William Saliba like doing his little prayer with the goalpost behind him and the flags flying behind him. Future GOAT right here, Saka
Mm,
again. I've got to give there's Trossard, but also, yeah, players like Kivior deserve their flowers right now. I've got to see a little bit more from him, as I've said, but
yeah.
definitely I've eaten my words. Maybe a few more games to totally eat my book.
We'll give you. Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people went very early with him. I was kind of sort of look. He's playing out of position. I'd have liked to see Mikel integrate him a little bit more better than last season, if I'm going to be honest. I think he chucked him in for the first game when we played Sporting Lisbon away in the Europa League. But yeah, I'd like to get a bit more game time to get settled in. But listen, when you're in a winning team, Sophie, that are keeping double figures for clean sheets and beating teams for fun, he even got a goal. He could have got one the other day actually as well. But yeah, he's doing well. He's doing well. It'd be interesting to see how he carries on. But I think the other concern is Jesus. It'd be interesting to see what happens with that actually, Sophie.
He's got to be on the bench for me, Albert.
Yeah.
He's got to earn his listen. If I know Mikel, you play your best players when they're fit, but when it ain't broken, you don't. And he's got to earn his disciples back because currently, Odegaard and Havertz and Saka and Martinelli and Declan Rice are on fire. And when you ever play like Jesus to come off the bench, who, by the way, takes a few games to get match fit, doesn't come. And I didn't want to pick on anything in that, Sheffield United game, and I won't. But he's a player that needs 4 or 5 chances. And right now, we've elevated our finishing since Dubai. Players are getting a chance, they're burying it. We're scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah,
But I
a lot of
think in the
people.
Champions League, Albert, different story with him and Zinchenko having that experience.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, a lot of people were saying after the Sheffield United game that he was sort of. I don't know if you saw that. So they said that he's pointing to his knee or he's talking to one of the players when he's coming off, and it's going to be tough for him, Sophie, because it's the same knee. So with that comes even more injuries. But yeah, he's gonna have to bide his time because at the moment the team
Hmm.
are playing more than well. To be honest with you, I mean, like I said, 31 goals in 7 games. Both facets of the team, defensively, offensively, very good, looking dangerous. Someone said I'm going a bit too light with 2-0, but listen, I'll take it now. But we might pummel them. But listen, Brentford are actually pretty unlucky against Man City. I thought personally when I watched that game, I thought they was in it for quite a long time. There's only a mistake that happened, and Haaland's gone through, and they won 1-0. But it'd be like I said, I'd be surprised if Mbeumo's back, but Toney will give us a few issues. But I think we'll beat them 2-0 personally.
Yeah. If Tony's playing, there's always the likelihood of, him nutting in a header or getting hopefully not a penalty. Natalie brought up what happened last year. We don't want to go there. And a lot of the listeners in the chat are saying, keep the winning team. Don't change anything. Lone Star, the Jack King of the day got mentioned by Natalie Sawyer. I agree with this. Hit Brentford early and rest players for Porto. That's exactly what we need. And I would rest Jorginho in this match. Absolutely, Tammy. I would save him for the Champions League game. And then we've got a
100%.
massive break. Take him back to Dubai, Albert. Take him back to Dubai.
Yeah, you're right. I looked at that. I thought, yeah, that's quite because obviously the reason
Almost
why
3
we got
weeks.
the reason why we got the big break is obviously because Chelsea beat Leeds in the FA Cup
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't move the fixture. And also, Sophie, as well, if Wolves beat Coventry, which I'm not saying they will do definitely because it's a derby, isn't it? But that fixture will get moved.
Yes.
So the fixtures are gonna
Pile up.
get a bit, yeah, they're gonna pile up. So listen, I welcome the break, seriously, man. Like, listen, I know people moan about international football, but from an Arsenal perspective, as long as a lot of the players don't go away for their countries, that's the main thing. But keep them fit, keep them ticking over. I agree with that. Not playing Jorginho on Saturday personally. Saving for Wednesday. Our next two games, massive. Because Sophie, if we do get through, touch wood, we do against Porto, we're gonna get a tasty quarterfinal for sure.
Who are you playing if you're not playing? Someone just asked. Demsek asked Tammy, who are you playing if Jorginho isn't playing? Does Havertz? I don't like Havertz going back into. I like the way Havertz is playing right now. Do you bring in Fabio Vieira? Do you bring in? Is he ready? I mean, it's.
I think the fact Mikel brought him on. I know Saka was sick, but he gave him 45 plus minutes, Sophie. Like that's not a bad stint. So listen, get him more game time because he's another attacking element to a side that's already free flowing in terms of scoring goals. Why not?
Yeah, Thomas Partey as well. Well done. I've forgotten about him.
Exactly, Sophie. I had to take a picture of him when I did the live watch along. I couldn't believe it was him. But again,
we're not doing the lineup.
yeah. Him and Jesus are very high risk. So, but I'd expect Partey to get more minutes again. So
Partey, Rice, Odegaard.
Yeah, they're just coming back. Some of them are slowly coming back, just at the right time. We've got managed Thomas and Jesus, but they're just ESR's there obviously as well. So listen, we got some options. We've got options there. We've got options. Yeah.
Yeah, agree with you, Don Juan. He did look rusty. Yeah. I mean, he's been out for most of the season.
What was it? October?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he could bring in. I'm not going to say any other names. I'm not going to say Elneny. I'm not going to say anything like that. It's got to be players like Fabio Vieira now need to step up. They need to this is the time. You're getting back Partey. You're getting back Fabio Vieira. You're getting back Jesus. I mean, Tommy and Zinchenko a little ways away still. Maybe not. But Partey, if he can play, you start him. If Jorginho's being saved for the Champions League, right? What a brilliant show! May I, if I may, pat ourselves on the back, Albert?
Of course you can say that, Sophie. Of course you can.
Let everyone know where they can find you, what you've got coming up, what you're doing. Follow the power of the squaddies. Go follow Albert JTV, please, and Not Another Arsenal podcast. Albert, tell them.
Sophie, you absolutely thank you for inviting me. People, this did go live obviously on Hybrid Squad. It also went live on Albert JTV as well. So don't just touch the like button. Obliterate it through the roof, people. So as you've seen, Sophie, I've been doing some watch-alongs on Lead Judges TV. I say to people that the proper South East London comes out during the live watch-alongs. As you could probably tell. No calm Albert, no measured Albert, no on the fence Albert, no, the proper South East London comes out during the watch-along. So
I like it.
What would I be doing next, Sophie? So yeah, YouTube Shorts, a few more TikTok things, people, a little bit as well. So keep an eye out on my socials. Albert JTV is a channel. And yes, you'll find me here, there, and everywhere. So and on Hybrid Squad as well, people, most importantly.
Excellent. Brilliant stuff. I said to Natalie, don't worry, Natalie, show will be half hour today. 40 minutes max with added time. Here we are, 1 hour and 17 minutes of an extravaganza. We talked Arsenal, Brentford. We talked about world class. We talked about the value of David Raya. Thomas Frank, is he too nice? Mikel Arteta, is he not nice? Arsenal women, Jonas,
everything.
And we talked a little bit about everything. And of course, Zenith coins. Don't forget, find the link in the description. Get your coin and give them our support. I'd also like to say, I think that we're going to be doing stuff with football prizes again, which have a look, and that will be coming up fairly soon. Tomorrow night, listen, I'm going live again. That's right, people. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time, look out for the Goalkeeper Show. All right. We were the first. No one really does it. We love doing it. And Michael Price from You Are My Arsenal is coming back to talk about the differences in Raya Ramsdale. If Ramsdale goes, we're going to need another keeper. Who that? I don't know. So we're going to dig into that a little bit, Albert, as well. And Paul Buckle will be joining us because Paul played for Brentford. I know a lot of people know he was the ex-Luton Town manager, but he also played for Brentford. He actually played against Super Kev in a youth cup years and years and years ago. So Paul's going to come back to answer some questions from the manager perspective on the goalkeeping position. All right, we like to do content with a twist here at Highbury Squad, and come and join me again tomorrow live at 8 p.m. for the Goalkeeper Show for another great conversation. Albert, you've been great. Albert will be back soon, and of course, don't you forget to give your love to Super Kev, slowly recovering and coming back.
Kev.
Our fighter,
Love you, Kev.
Super
Love you,
Kev, is watching every single show. Make sure you give him the love in the YouTube comments. He sees it. It's G'ing him up. He loves it. And of course, Super Kev will say at this point, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. Squaddies, at ease. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Dun, 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 dun.